All right, guys, welcome to number 7, which is all about gratitude. And let me see what the title is. How to teach your child to look for the good in people. Okay, so today we're looking at, I guess building on the character, building on our kids' character, and another growth mindset topic, which is around gratitude. And there's quite a lot of studies around gratitude and helping others and how that helps to increase our levels of happiness. So, gratitude should be almost a daily, if not daily, it should be almost daily practice that you do yourself and with your kids. And it has been shown to improve and increase happiness, levels of happiness, and, feeling like you have your place in the world. So I think it's quite a special one to do with kids, and that's why we're touching on it today. So how do we teach our kids to look for the good in people? Like everything that I talk about, of course, you want to be role modeling that you're also looking for the good in people. And one huge thing to teach the kids, actually, I'll go through 5 big things, but I'm going to tell maybe not a story, but I guess an observation as well. And this was brought to my attention recently, and then I reflected on it and realised, well, hang on, I've heard that before. So my background in this particular thing is, or something that's happened along the way, is someone commented the other day to me that you always see the good in everybody, and I thought, well, yeah, isn't that just normal? Like, I just thought it was normal. And then I reflected back and I went, no, hang on a second. I was at a seminar. It was a business one that one of the coaching programs I was in the States. We had a seminar in Mexico, and people there were doing training on how to show empathy and look for gratefulness in people. I'm like, oh, hang on. Maybe this isn't something that people just do. So that was my first instance in understanding that not everyone thinks this way. So I'm not quite sure where I've picked it up. I think possibly, everything reflects back to your parents at some point. And I do remember mums, just like last time I was talking about my dad, I do remember my mother talking a lot about if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything, and treat others how you would want to be treated. So I think those 2 things I've always carried through. Teenage years, you kind of go a little bit becomes a bit more selfish. But then as you grow older again, it all comes back around. So I think those things are really important, especially in a world right now where social media is open to everyone. It's open to interpretation. It's open to people's opinions, be them right or wrong. They're very strong one way or the other. And there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there. And I see a lot of kids deal with a lot of teenage kids now that are struggling with, I guess, the keyboard warriorism. That's not quite a word, I'm just making it up. That's happening even amongst their peers in social media, and how that affects them emotionally. So if we can build children that are looking for the good in other people and are grateful and supportive and acknowledge that not everyone's the same as them and that's okay, and treat others how they would want to be treated, then I think we're going to be on a good thing as they grow up. So let's have a look at how we can help our children to be more grateful for things in their life. All right, first thing they want to do is learn to listen. So many of our parents along the way would have said, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And that's an important thing. So by teaching our children to be good listeners, not only is that a skill that they have to learn in school anyway, it's also going to help them benefit in life and to grow. We talked a few weeks ago about growing and how if the kids are to grow, they need to learn, and they don't know everything. So it all kind of, everything intermingles in this growth mindset stuff. So if they're learning to listen, and I always say to our kids, if you close your mouth, you're opening your ears. And so they're, which is my nice way of saying, be quiet because you're about to learn something. So it's it's important for them to learn to listen, and that's going to help them to grow and to learn new things, and to also be grateful for the things that perhaps they're taking for granted. And my kids will always watch me. I get very teary and emotional at things on TV and all the rest of it. And I will always say, we are so fortunate to have been born in Australia. And we truly are. And it's same for most first world countries, to be honest. Like, some of the things that go on in other countries are completely beyond my ability to understand. You know, we are very fortunate to have been born and to live where we do, and we should be grateful for that, which comes into number 2, which is name our blessings. So we talk about, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a religious thing, but we're always looking at, you know, we're grateful for. And I will hear, same son that's last week was irresponsible for his violin, he'll often just say, you know, I'm really thankful that I have a great mum, and which is beautiful. And we're so fortunate that we have a house to live in and a roof over our heads. Did you know, Mum, that not everyone has that? And you know, and he's the same one that when he saw the famine not movies, ads on television where they show the children and sponsoring a child and all the rest, and he watched that at age 4 or 5 and saw and took from that the kids don't have clean water. They don't have clean water to drink. And next thing, I've got 30 bottles of water, reusable bottles, by the way, of water coming out of my fridge. We drink a lot. There's a lot of us here. Coming out of the fridge. And he's like, Mum, we can just have one of our bottles each. These are reusable. We can send them to them so they have water. So that's kind of a younger version of naming our blessings. And it's, if you can get into the practice of what's something that you're grateful for, maybe you do it at the dinner table. What's something that we're grateful for today? And or in the car, what's something that you're grateful for that's happened at school today, or whatever it might be. So naming our blessings is really important, and getting our kids to name them helps them to get into that mindset of thinking about what are the things I'm grateful for. It's not all negative. It's not, I'm not having the worst life ever. There is always going to be something that I can be grateful for. So seeking out the good in everything, in all situations when something happens, there is a way to turn that around. And that's something that I grew into later on, I think, as I was maybe in my 20s. So I don't know that the kids can do this as well as we can as adults, but if we're modeling those sorts of things, they're going to be picking it up. So, and I hear some of the kids, like our kids now, again, there's a lot of them, they'll say, and I must do it. I must verbalize it and not recognize that I'm doing it. So, you know, it rains a lot where we are. So I might say, oh, you know, it's great for the plants, which comes from my mother now that I think about it. Yeah, oh, the water is good for the plants. Or, you know, the country's in quite a lot of drought at the moment, so it's good that it's raining. As long as it gets to the areas that it needs to, it's even better. So always looking for something good. You know, I might not have been able to do that today, but that means I was able to do this. And same with people, you know. Not everyone is going to be our perfect cup of tea, and that's okay. You know, some people might not like me, and that's okay. That's for them. It's not anything for me to worry about. But I can look at them and say, you know, oh, well, maybe this has happened, or maybe that's happened. So, you know, at the end of the day, that person has a good heart, or they're thoughtful, or they're good to their kids, or they care about this. You know, I always try and find, even if I'm not particularly loving the situation or person, I always try and find something good in them. And that's reflecting back now. Goes a little bit off in the teenage years, but it's still there. Being a grateful parent, so that's kind of mixes in with everything. If I'm showing that I'm grateful for things, and if I'm showing that I can find the good in everything, then the kids will be able to see that too. And sometimes situations, you know, they're not good, and things happen are sad. And I'm not saying that we don't acknowledge that sadness or frustration or anger or any of those sorts of things, but there's also a positive spin on it as well, I guess. And so I look for that, and that as well helps us to move along. So when things are negative, maybe everything's terrible, there's so many bills coming in right now, and I hate that I've got a pile up of bills, and it's terrible and it's horrible, and yeah, I mean, it's stressful paying the bills perhaps, but there's also, well, I'm grateful for these bills because it means I have a house to live in. And, I'm grateful for these bills because I have clean running water, all those sorts of things. So there's always something to be grateful for that bill for. And I have here emulating self-control. So, sometimes things can get a little bit out of our range, I guess. So what part can we play in it that we can be grateful for? So if maybe there's a car accident or something like that, or someone passes away, you can't control that, and that's not necessarily something to be grateful for, and it's a sad situation, and you're going to have to help the kids to deal with that. But there's, maybe there's, I think we hear people talk about, God had a greater plan, or if that's your belief system, or they're out of pain now, or those sorts of things. So sometimes things, maybe it's hard to be grateful for, but maybe we'll look and go, oh, you did so many amazing things in their life, and they've really impacted our lives because of what's happened and those sorts of things. Or perhaps, it changes the way that you do something. If someone dies a certain way, and it's to do with a lifestyle or something like that, then perhaps we take that lesson from that and we can move forward with that as well. So I'm not saying everything has to be bright and shiny and lovely. I am saying, though, that there is there's a way to, I guess, go down the rabbit hole, and then there's also a way to lift it up a little bit and accept that it's happened and be able to move forward with it in a more positive and constructive way. Okay, so not to go all Debbie Downer, most important things for kids is really just that you're modelling good behaviour and you're teaching them to listen and counting your blessings. There are blessings. So the simple practice out of all of this is to just be able to go, okay, what are you grateful for today? And maybe you go around the table, or in the car, you go around the car. It takes a couple of minutes, but it's a practice worth doing. All right, so that is it for me today, guys, and I will see you next week. I can't remember what topic we're talking about. I wonder if it's failure. I have a feeling failure is next week, so we'll see. All right, have a great week, and any questions, you can find us at growkidsminds.com and on all the social media handles for the same thing. Okay, have a fab week.